Welcome to Power Hour, where the editors of Powersports Business interview the movers and shakers of the industry. This episode is brought to you by Synchrony. Hi, everybody. It's Brendan Baker with Powersports Business. Today on our Power Hour podcast, we have a special guest, Scott Newby, who's a Yamaha. Scott, give me your exact title because I didn't really ask you ahead. I mean, I've known you for a long time, but I'm always like, what is you're just kind of the Yamaha guy, you're my
right.
Yamaha
Yeah, I know.
guy.
It's funny you even say that. Yeah, according to our HR department and everything internally at Yamaha, I am the senior communications specialist for the ATV Side-by-Side group at Yamaha. But pretty much anything has to do with the four-wheel group over here at Yamaha. That's what I handle, what I do, whether it's racing, riding, hunts, media events, all that good stuff. And just living the life and been with Yamaha for almost 18 years now, but been in the industry all my life.
Okay, so you're a ride or die kind of industry person.
Yeah. Grew up racing and riding when I was younger, and then started working at dealerships so I could afford parts cheaper. And then eventually after that, got on board with Maxxis Tires because they were one of my sponsors at the time, and stayed there for a couple of years, and then been on board with the Yamaha ever since. And started out even just doing a district manager thing. So I had a couple of different territories that I traveled through, and since then came back down the
office.
A lot
of dealers. The dealer.
Oh, yeah.
The dealer world and how that is, especially being a district manager and seeing those. Do you still have any dealer touch points, or probably at some of your rides and things, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'll still talk to a lot of dealers that I had in the past too, and even some of our national sales events and stuff like that I'll go to. But man, I always appreciate going in to see a dealer, to talk to a dealer, and it's like living my old district manager days, because you get so much information from the front line. You hear all that hearsay and everything, but when you actually see it, experience it, you have those conversations, it's like that's just worth its weight in gold.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Because you can hear from your marketing department or your data department, whoever, that's putting together the stats, and they say this and that, but until you actually hear from somebody that's in the field that's actually selling it on the front lines, you're like, oh, okay, now I see what's going on.
Exactly.
So, I'm sure they give you a lot of feedback, on products.
Oh, yeah.
And things,
sometimes they just need that person to talk to, and they're not saying that we're not there, but we only have so many different managers and so many different touch points and contacts that it's always good to even just have them experience that conversation with someone on a different level too, because you never know what angles that they have or what they need to know that perhaps someone else just wasn't aware of, and all that good stuff. Because there's definitely a lot going on these days. But yeah, always love going to the dealer, even like consumers too. Going to a lot of ride events and everything, and usually go to Bike Week or any other deal tour. It's like you can talk to those customers firsthand. We may build a vehicle for one thing, but you find out customers do it for another. Like who knows what? But having those firsthand experiences and conversations are huge.
You know what I think is interesting? We were talking about this on another call a couple weeks ago, just how, you can build something and think you've tested it every which way until you get a consumer on it, and everything goes out the door because they'll find another way to do it, and something you didn't expect. You're like, oh, wait, we didn't think of that. We didn't.
And that's why at Yamaha, we'll always do our due diligence and do our research, do all sorts of surveys, and, just talk to customers all the time to figure out specifically what they're using their vehicles for, what they do like about it, what they don't like about it, because we take all that feedback and we may put it into the next generation of vehicles, like we did with our RMAX 1000 lineup for the 2025 model year, to where, we made a whole bunch of changes to suspension for slow speed comfort, updated the braking system, and all sorts of those things. But that specifically came from consumer feedback.
Well, and it's got to be that continuous loop, right? You got to have that loop of feedback, then go back and analyze it to see ways you can develop it into the new products. Well, I want to, we'll get back to this, but I want to also touch on the Yamaha Outdoor Access Initiative and what you guys do. Tell me a little bit about the program, because just talking earlier, I think I was a little bit unaware of the whole scope of it. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, the Yamaha Outdoor Access Initiative is a program that we had since 2008, and it's pretty much all about having open, sustainable access to our nation's trails, to public land. It promotes safe, responsible use of not only our vehicles, but of the public lands and riding areas as well. I think to date now we have over $7 million that we infuse back into the trails and public land areas, over 525 grants across the nation too. But it really is just all about having a place to be able to ride to for people for generations to come. Because if we don't have areas to ride at and have those off-road public spaces, then people can enjoy the great outdoors.
It's true. I mean, the outdoors is a huge, and this is kind of something that's happening right now, talking about, they want to, with laying off a lot of park rangers and doing it's going to restrict access to the land where people want to go out, and the outdoors actually generates way more income than people realize. Think one of our, we've got like there's an outdoor roundtable, recreation roundtable, group that basically says it's over $1 trillion, somewhere in there. It's a huge number.
Yeah. And again, that's all, that's public land. Those are our spaces. We want to be sure that people enjoy them. They can go out and recreate on them. And even for us, it's not just motorized vehicles. Obviously, that's what we like about the most. But it's even for people that just want to go out, hike, bike, even horseback riding and everything in between, hunting as well. Just so that everyone, again, can just enjoy those outdoor spaces. And when you get to promote Yamaha, it just makes the experience all the better, right?
Oh, yeah. And you know what? Even if those people that want to enjoy those spaces for non-motorized stuff, they, those park rangers and the people that are maintaining trails probably want to have a vehicle that will help them to maintain that stuff and to get around, to get through. So, probably good partners to have, Yamaha and park rangers and, the Parks and Rec service. I remember actually, Van Holmes, who, was Spec PR, and he's been a longtime Yamaha guy. I think he was one of my first rides ever with Yamaha was 2012, I think, out in Oregon in Bend in the Deschutes National Forest.
Okay.
And I was just I think I was telling you guys at AIM when you guys stopped by our booth, just how, for one, that was an amazing ride.
It's pretty out there.
Great, pretty area, the trails, and just how they took care of the trails. And it was also, I had to fill out get like license, or some kind of a survey or license thing to, say that I wasn't going to destroy, ride off trail or do anything that, which I thought was cool. It was really dusty though, from what I remember. I still have some of the dust mask from it, which I used that mask a little bit during COVID, because I'm like, hey, I could reuse this thing,
Oh yeah. Sometimes God's watering truck doesn't work in our favor, but at least with the Outdoor Access Initiative, we'll go through, we'll rehabilitate trails, or even if there's a space that people can't access because there's a fish-bearing stream, we'll work with building bridges, across there to where all of a sudden now you have all the more riding area to be able to enjoy. So there's all sorts of different ways that that we have this program in place to where people can go out, have a good time, have good experiences. And, I think one of the most difficult things really is getting the message out. And that's why we kind of like to have that signage on the trail where we've completed things, not only so that other people that may not have had the best perception of motorized vehicles or even the motorsports industry in general, like now they see like, oh, they're actually helping keeping these trails open, so changes perception there, but also that way, when other people that are using the trails, like, man, maybe there's another area, local nearby, or I know this other place is potentially struggling that could use some funding. It's like, hey, yeah, we'll gladly talk to you guys, even if it's not a public trail. We have all sorts of ways to try to figure out at least how we can keep those riding areas open.
You basically, or not you, but maybe you, but Yamaha, you get like, people can fill out a form, right, on your site for like a trail system that they want help with, or a grant, to apply for a grant. Is that how that works?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they can go to Yamaha OAI, or Outdoor Access Initiative, YamahaOAI.com. You'll see grant examples on there. You fill out the form. You talk about like what your need is, what you guys plan on doing, even what your budget is. Then they'll just kind of get that endorsed by Yamaha dealers. You also have the Yamaha dealer integrated into it as well. And that also kind of helps us make sure like it's a good, legit plan, like it's going to help them in their local area, in their riding area. And then those submissions come in. and we'll all review those on a quarterly basis and figure out, hey, this will make sense. Or we'll even tell people like, let's go back, let's tweak this. Because again, we want to make sure that those funds are being used appropriately for these lands, for this area. So we're not just throwing out money left and right, or even just throwing out vehicles. It's like if you have a need for a Yamaha ATV or side-by-side, let's make sure that makes sense, and it's going to be used in the appropriate way as well. So take those through on a quarterly basis, again, review them all. They have actually a huge team internally that does everything. So it's not just like one or two people making the decision. And just keep on fostering that message and promoting the program and getting the riding areas open.
I mean, that's one of the things I've always appreciated about Yamaha is you guys really do things the right way, I feel like. I mean, you're not only connecting and you're walking a tightrope in some ways because you're trying to help keep these outdoor spaces going, and it's not just for motorized stuff. And some people, like you say, may have a negative connotation towards what motorsports is and not understand fully that we're on the same side. But you guys were like, hey, we're going to work with all you guys. We want to help everybody,
Yeah. It's all about outdoor access in general, not just for us. It's for everyone. It's our nation's trails, and it's a beautiful thing to experience. So we don't want to keep it all to ourselves.
Right. Yeah. I wish we had more public access or public trails in the East. That's one of the hard things, I think, living in this area. I'm in Ohio. I know you're in Georgia. You probably have a few more trails than we do. Everything here is they're all privately owned parks and they're okay. I mean, I've rode on a few of them last year that I hadn't ridden on in a long time, and they are nice, but they're just they're so small,
Yeah.
compared to like when you're out west, man. It's just and the views, the everything. It's there's a reason why that it's been preserved as well as it has, and hopefully that. And I do think that it's a revenue driver for the economy overall, because of all the things that are involved, not only for power sports, but think of all the other the companies that are involved with maintaining and helping other people to enjoy those lands, from lodging and food to any types of tour guides and things, tours of different areas and rental programs that are out there. It's there, all these things feed into this nearly $1 trillion. I'd have to look up the exact number, but it's very high.
Oh, yeah, to say the least. It's definitely huge. And that's why I think just having access to those trails, to the lands is just, it's not only great for that local market, but like I said before, when we're integrating the Yamaha dealer as well, it's helping them, helping their bottom line as well, because it's helping them sell more vehicles. Because when people have places to ride, places to even just use their vehicles and do things, that's naturally just going to help them in the end.
It would be a lot different vehicle if there weren't these public lands, I think. I mean, you think about it, like you would just be building vehicles that would be working on pure utility almost. And so that's the other thing is like, it's, people want to go out and fish and hunt and do all that and have, and not only that, just trail riding. The type of vehicle you build would be a complete, it'd almost be golf. It wouldn't be as exciting. For sure.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I love about our vehicles. Like, they're so versatile. And that's what we kind of have like the brand slogan, realize your adventure. Because like you said, you might be someone that likes to go out and fish or hunt or, go out and actually race or be a recreational rider with the family, like anything in between, like whatever your adventure is, we'll be able to realize that for you. And so it's just a huge market in general. And we want our vehicles to be as versatile as possible so that you're happy with them, you enjoy them, and you can just focus on having a good time and not have to worry about the vehicle breaking down or anything.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Speaking of, I have crashed a few of your vehicles because, as a matter of fact, that first ride I went on in Deschutes, I remember I told my wife, she's like, don't kill yourself out there. I'm like, I'm a professional. Don't worry about it. I'm like, I'm not going to, and I got, it was like a Raptor 700, get on that thing. And I'm like, oh God, this was like, it was so amazing. I go firing up this trail, and I hit at the very top of the trail. There's like a rock right off to the left side, like a big boulder right in the middle. And by the time I got enough speed, I couldn't miss it. And I hit that rock and I flew off. Like I flew off. The bike was fine. The ATV was fine. It went ahead and landed right side up, but I flew off, landed on my side and whatever. I'm like, it sort of knocked me like, oh yeah, I better be careful now. I better
Right. Yeah.
slow it down a little
Checked
bit.
you up a little bit, but I'm glad that, obviously at our events, you had all your safety gear on. Glad
I had all
you're
the
okay
gear
now.
on.
And exactly. But even that's why with the Outdoor Access Initiative, like it's more than just the trails too. Again, we're making sure people know about safe, responsible use. Like we'll help them with safety education programs on ATVs and side-by-sides as well. It's just so many different programs, so many different facets all across the country. But yeah, the more people get to have an enjoyable time on our vehicles, the better off we'll all be.
So one of the things I want to talk about too is like there's sort of a trend now with the side-by-sides to be like more truck-like, more car-like, I guess, and I know you guys are, everybody's offering that. Do you see that as being, continuing, you're adding more and more bus bar, you got a lot more electronics and a lot more accessory products, lighting. Saw Travis Hollins was on one of the videos. Isn't he your accessory line manager now? So
exactly.
he, and I'm like, oh yeah, but he's talking about all the accessories on there. I'm like, holy cow, there are, and you see them at the shows and everything, but it just seems like it's ramping up more and more every year.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to see what side-by-side started out as. It's like you go back to 2007, 2008, you sit in one of those side-by-sides and compare it to what it's like now, and it's like, holy moly, these are completely different vehicles, and they're so much more capable too. I mean, it's mind-blowing. Like for our RMAX 1000, for instance, you've got IQS suspension where you can toggle between the 3 different modes in the cab, or different power steering settings, to where you can just do that in cab as well. And just thinking back, we didn't even have power steering way back in the day.
Right.
And now you can change the 3 different modes from the cab, like all sorts of crazy things. But again, that all comes from consumer demand, what they're wanting to do as well, and even what the vehicles are capable of doing too. So kind of, I know that they work one-on-one in a sense with each other, but we'll always hear that customer feedback, their needs, their desires, and try to keep it all within a reasonable price range too, because obviously the more you add on to it, the more those prices come up. But we also have the different platforms as well. Like with our side-by-sides, you have the 850 and the Wolverine X2 and X4, to where it's still a great entry-level model, going all the way down to even the Viking and their 700 platform. And then kind of our top-tier RMAX 41000 has this 1000cc parallel twin in it, and then all the bells and whistles, the cab kit you can put on as well that we offer too, and just pretty much everything in between.
I mean, I also look at it like you guys were the kind of the creators of the space, I mean, I know Kawasaki had the Mule, and that was a different, so to speak, animal. But then the Rhino comes along, and the Rhino people were, basically like, hey, I can, use this for recreation, and then it's like from there. So how long ago was the Rhino? 2006 maybe? Or
yeah 2006, I think. 05 is the debut, I believe.
05, okay. So yeah, in a matter of 20 years. If you look at the evolution, it's amazing.
Yeah, because that started out as kind of like a utility vehicle as well, and seeing what our vehicles are like now. But again, that we want that versatility. So when you look at X2, X4, or RMAX 41000, like you have that vehicle that is extremely versatile, especially now like with our all new RMAX 41000, where it's the full, 4 seats, full-size rear cabin, plus a full dump bed on it. So you can go out recreating with the family, but if you want to do some light utility work with it, it's got turf mode as well. So you're not going to, hit those sensitive terrains and having that be dug up at all. And yeah, just that versatility overall is huge.
And I think that's another thing where Yamaha's a little bit different in its approach to the market than others, in that I feel like you have always kind of had that vector diagram of like, here's these market segments. You're never really all in one segment. It, maybe a little more utility or a little more this or a little more sport, but it's always kind of in that middle where it's kind of, again, versatility, I think that comes down to, but it's what the market wants, right? I feel exactly. Like you're not trying to be out there to necessarily steal all the headlines with some 300 and some horsepower supercharged dune monster, which, yeah, those are great and all, but that's not what really sells. The heart of the market is somewhere in that sweet spot of a utility with some kind of sportsman type, because people want to use them for just like pickup trucks. Now look at the evolution of pickup trucks, and I've heard this from people at Ford, where someone was asking, what is the ceiling on, because the price of Ford trucks going, what is the ceiling on? Well, they don't think they've hit it yet. Well, maybe they're getting close, but Ford F-150s started out being pretty, utilitarian, nothing fancy. And now look at them, and I think that's sort of what's happening, but they still want utility, right? So you still, the end, kind of the overarching theme is their utility. They need to have utility. People don't buy a truck. Well, maybe some people do to just look cool, but you want to be able to haul something in it,
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Be able to go somewhere, use it for more than, and to justify some of the costs and expenses, you want to be able to use it for more than just, doing some ranching.
Oh yeah. And that's
more
why we know, like,
work.
even our customers, they appreciate durable and reliable vehicles, and that's definitely like our sweet spot as well. Because if they're going to hold on to the vehicle for a while, or if they're just going to purchase it in general, they want to know that thing's going to perform. So we always have our proven off-road motto towards capability, comfort, confidence. We make sure that everything revolves around those three pillars, if you will, all the way down to having a 10-year belt warranty that no other manufacturer can offer. But they all know that, again, we have that durable, reliable vehicle behind them. Plus, another cool thing is all of our side-by-sides, all our full-size ATVs, we build the things down in Noonan, Georgia, and that's for the world. And not a lot of people actually wear that. But, of course, it's assembled in the USA. But, man, you go down there, you see the factory. It's like they're starting with a raw pipe to build the frames all the way up to just dropping in an engine. It's like, yeah, they're doing a lot.
It's been a few years since I've toured there, but I remember going back maybe 10 years ago, I was down there. And it was so interesting in that you guys had like robots, like these little robot carts that followed paths on the floor to different stations,
Yeah, it's like a very technologically advanced facility, no question about it. It's cool because we do have those little robots going. Even like some of the, like a lot of, for the ATV and golf car line, a lot of the robots even do the welding for the frames, but there's some areas that, they can't actually reach to. So we have, of course, I say humans, it sounds weird, but otherwise all of our workers down there, it's like, especially on the side-by-side line, I mean, they're just going nonstop. Even the ATV golf car line, it's crazy to see where you'll have like a row of Kodiak 450s coming through, and then Raptor 700s, and then golf cars, and then YFZs, like all just nonstop, but they don't bat an eye. They're just going to town, and every last unit, like dialing everything in, and such a cool experience to see, and they definitely got to get you down there again.
Yeah, no, I definitely would like to come down for a visit because it's been a few years. Now, were you one of the crew? Did you have to relocate from California to Georgia when they moved, or was that?
No, I was. Let's see. I was a district manager in Western Pennsylvania at the time, and then just transferred down to Georgia after that. But oddly enough, I was in Georgia where Yamaha originally transferred me from, so it's kind of like a homecoming in a sense.
Oh, right. Okay. So are you from Georgia originally? Is that?
No, I've lived all over, but it's the closest thing that I consider home is Georgia.
Gotcha. Yeah, no. So now you're not in Kennesaw anymore. You're in where, Marietta? Or?
Yeah. So we all used to be in the Kennesaw office with marine and personal watercraft and everything, but now we've broken about 3 miles south of there in Marietta. That's like the Motorsports headquarters now. We even have our financing arm. Like there's a few people in the office there too, but we just kind of outgrew our bridges, if you will, and had to expand again ourselves. But then an hour south of Atlanta, that's where we have the factory down in Noonan, Georgia.
Gotcha. So overall, I mean, I think judging by, and I don't know, I get reports from like Yamaha corporate, like global, so Yamaha Motors Global from Japan, and then I try to make sense of what it's saying exactly. But it looks like you guys have had a good year, though. I mean,
definitely had a good year. Even actually gaining a lot of market share as well, which I think is huge right now, the way that the industry is. But yeah, still cranking out side-by-side, still cranking out ATVs as well. And another cool thing, just to kind of jump back to our Outdoor Access Initiative program, is what we've done here as of late with the All Kids Bike program, to where we're not just looking, to what do we have here right now, but also where's our future going for just having overall industry enthusiasts. And so we partner with All Kids Bike. We actually go into local kindergarten schools and donate like this whole entire kit for them, where they have instructors that have bikes, and it teaches kids how to ride. It gets them off the electronics in their schools, off the, and outdoors, experiencing that on bikes, learning to ride, just getting that interest in the industry altogether, and hopefully make some future motorsports enthusiasts.
I mean, that's where it starts. I just interviewed Ryan McFarland of All Kids Bike just earlier this week. So great guy, amazing what they've done for kids. And I asked him, like, I mean, did you ever expect that? I mean, did you ever think you would kind of end up in this spot here, where you're kind of that leading point of teaching kids how to ride, not just, selfishly, we want them to ride to be motorsports fans, right? But I mean, that's an amazing feeling, I think, because when you learn how to ride a bike, anything, like, it's a big accomplishment. It's a self-esteem builder, and you feel like you've done something, and like you've got that sort of independence feeling. Ryan and I were talking about it for quite a while, and it's an amazing program. I think that All Kids Bike, and I kudos to you guys for being as involved with it as you are. I think, well, Ryan was his dad was a Yamaha dealer, so I get his affinity for Yamaha. And I mean, I grew up with Yamaha products myself. As a matter of fact, I talked to Travis Hollins, several years ago, because my first Yamaha was a go-kart. We raced the RC100 go-karts. And Travis was saying how they had, and I raced the KT100 engine. I still have one in my garage right now that I'm.
No way.
Oh yeah, I still have one. But he said that that they had one in California, that in the warehouse or something, the guys would like, fire up and drive around the warehouse and all that.
That's hilarious.
Pretty awesome. But yeah, I mean, Yamaha, it's always been a big part of my, I guess, career or hobbies, that I've enjoyed, go-kart racing. And I think that you guys, like I said, with all the programs that you've been involved with to try to elevate this industry and to keep things going, keep the lights on for everybody, really.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And like you can like see it in the kids' eyes too when you do I've done a few donations now to several different kindergartens, and it's such a beautiful thing to see, because we have them all behind the curtain. We've had anywhere from Ryan Villapoto and Damon Bradshaw to Johnny Gallagher, Walker Fowler, Tracy Pickens, like everyone in between. It helps us out with these donations because they know the value of it. But it's nothing better than like pulling back that curtain, seeing all their eyes light up, whether they know how to ride a bike or not. And then we'll try to get them on it to where they ride around in their gym or, whatever in like the lunch area that they have. And it's cool because, like you said, it's so confident and inspiring for them. They have that self-esteem. But then even if they did know how to ride a bike, like they'll help their friends out. Like, here's what you do. This is how the balance bike works. Like, it's such an amazing thing to see. It's like, man, just take that spark, continue to run with it. And hopefully in the long run, they're motorsports enthusiasts. But in the end, it's just a great thing to be part of.
I feel like as an industry, we need to be focused on, there's the end cut, people talk about aging out and, age comes to cage, whatever you want to call it. Age, the cage is good for you guys, but the, with side-by-sides. However, focusing on these young, the people coming into the industry or coming in as customers, because I'm sure we've all had those stories of our first motorcycle or ATV that we've ridden, and that's what got us hooked, right? But it all started kind of with the bicycle.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly.
What other? I mean, you could say maybe like Hot Wheels cars or some kind of like little tiny kids toy, but being able to do something on your own like that balance bikes provide is that's an amazing thing. So
I remember when I had a bike as a kid, bicycle, and I remember being like, just acting like that throttle was a twist grip, like,
you pretend
couldn't wait until I got a real motorcycle and actually had to take out a personal loan from my brother just to be able to afford one. And those are the stories of the best. But it all started out on a bike.
Yeah, I bought, well, my second motorcycle, I bought myself. I saved money. I was like, how old was I? Maybe 15. Well, but I bought it myself, $400, and and I won't tell you the brand because it wasn't a Yamaha, but
Hey, we all start somewhere. It's all
we
good.
all start somewhere. But yeah, and then my nephew, he started on the PW50 though. I mean, that's in those PWs. That's almost like the next step up from the balance bike, really.
Yeah.
The kids being able to transfer. It's funny because I've got my brother's youngest son. He just turned 5, and now he's got a go-kart. He's got his first go-kart at 5. I'm like, well, we don't know if he's ready for it yet, but we're like, let's just get it for him, and he doesn't have to race it, but let's just see if he wants to go out and ride around, mainly so that him and his dad and myself can go out and relive our youth a little bit.
Right, exactly. But at least get him excited about it, right?
Get him excited. But no, he loves that stuff. Motorcycles, cars. I mean, which is funny because a lot of kids now, again, talking to Ryan about it, it's like kids are spending upwards of like 7 hours a day on screens.
Yeah.
I
know. And that's
video
why,
games and
you got to give them that opportunity to be able to get outdoors. I mean, heck, even I hate to admit it, but with my son, it's like the same exact way. That the cool thing though is like we'll do like even with our Yamaha Whitetail Diaries, a TV show that we do. Like I brought him out on several youth hunts to where now he's like got his first buck last year. But
nice.
We use our ATVs and side-by-sides out there nonstop, and so he's a part of the experience that way. Like he oddly enough learned essentially how to hunt through video games that he played on Xbox, like lo and behold. And so like, hey man, like you never know what's going to get him started and interested, but you just kind of like foster along the way, and hopefully he'll be a little gearhead, motohead as well.
Is he into hunting more or riding more, or is it kind of both?
Yeah, he loves them both, but we with ATV or more side by sides for him when we're out there. It's in Texas where we do the youth hunt, but like he knows that's a part of it. So anytime that we're going out, he's like, so is it gonna be like a long ride to the stand, or could we like take the long ride there just because he loves being in it and just being the whole part of the experience? And
that's
pretty
awesome.
Cool and pretty funny to see.
This has been a great discussion, and I definitely got to go down to Georgia and visit the factory. I know that you guys have been on the gas and just some of the new products you're introducing. Where do you see it evolving to? Again, like Kawasaki comes out with that nav thing that's kind of a golf cart. I don't know what it, I'm not going to, make you comment on all that, but do you see any electric stuff coming in the future? Do you see things going more towards like, neighborhood type, or low speed vehicles being in the realm of anything that you guys do? Or do you see it evolving what you're currently doing being the way forward?
Yeah. I mean, I obviously can't comment on future product, but for us, like I said, we always got a thumb on the pulse of things. We're always taking consumer feedback, but I think no matter what, no matter where it goes, I mean, I keep on beating that dead horse with it, but the great thing is like, customers will know that with Yamaha, it'll be proven off-road, it'll be reliable, it'll be durable, and essentially like meet their expectations. We want to know what they want to do. Even like when I talked about with our Max 4 1000, to where it had the new suspension settings on it. Like we'll take that and actually figure out, okay, what are our customers using? Like how many people in the vehicle? What's their average load that they have in the bed? Base all of our suspension settings off of that. So just totally focus on the customer, and no matter what we come out with, it'll be happy and pleasing to them.
I mean, that's really probably the only way you can do it, because, ultimately it's the customer that's going to decide where they're going to spend their dollars, and listening to the customer, whether they want, electric or low speed, whatever it is, I know that, I feel like what you guys would do you're always going to make sure you hit the right buttons, So that's one thing I know for sure with Yamaha is that you guys build quality products and always have. So, and I know that'll go forward, not to give you guys too much, I don't need your head to get that much bigger, but, but
it only helps me feel better because we do practice what we preach, so I can't complain about that.
Right. And you got a pretty cool now you travel a lot though, right? You're like
but I mean I'd much rather be out, experiencing our vehicles, and showing what they can actually do than being in the office and saying that, they do X, Y, Z. It's like, no, I'd rather go out to Rubicon and show what our vehicles can do out there, or, any other areas in the East Coast, West Coast, everything in between. Is like, yes, this is what we say our vehicles do. And now I'm going to show you how it happens.
You get to prove it.
Exactly. That's the best way to prove it, proof in the pudding right there.
I know. Absolutely. All right. Well, hey, keep me in mind on one of your, rides or whatever someday. So
got to get you back out more ways than one, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sounds good to me.
All right, man. Well, hey, have a good one. And thank you for coming on.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for your opportunity and take care.
If you like this podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. We also invite you to connect with us on powersportsbusiness.com.